is the best laid plans. There once lived an old monk who was the abbot of the temple at Golden Peak. In those days, although no longer, the senior monk of the mountain got appointed abbot, and this one had been a monk longer than any of his colleagues. The next monk in line often wished his superior would hurry up and die, but being a sturdy old fellow, the abbot gave no sign of popping off. In fact, at past 80, he was obviously more hale and hearty than anyone had a right to be, even at 70. And the successor knew all too well that he himself was now in his 70th year. Why, I could actually die and never be abbot, the successor groaned to himself. I can't just have him murdered. Someone would be bound to find out. I'll have to poison him. Of course, the successor was afraid of how the Buddha might feel about this, but the temptation was too great, and he began to think about what kind of poison to use. What poison was really deadly? Well, there was a toadstool called Great Beyond. That was sure to kill anyone who ate it. He would gather plenty of Great Beyonds, make a really delicious dish of them, and feed them to the abbot as ordinary mushrooms. That would take care of him. And then I'll be abbot, the successor gloated. It was fall, so he went straight off by himself into the mountains, gathering lots of Great Beyonds. And at dusk he brought them all back to his hut. Then he cut them up into a pot, seasoned them ever so nicely, and made them up into a very attractive stew. The new day had hardly dawned when he sent a disciple to invite the abbot over right away. The abbot arrived, leaning on his cane. Yesterday I was given some beautiful mushrooms, the successor explained, so I made a stew of them and thought you should have some. It's when you're old that you appreciate delicacies like this. The abbot smiled, nodded, and sat down. His host made rice, heated up the Great Beyond stew, and set them both before him. The abbot ate quite heartily. As for the host, he had 8 mushrooms that he prepared separately. They ended their meal with hot tea. Well, that's it, thought the successor, and waited anxiously for the old boy to start acting crazy and going mad with his headaches. But nothing seemed to happen. It was all very odd. Then the abbot's toothless mouth broke into such a happy grin as he belched. Best batch of Great Beyonds I ever tasted, he declared. He had known. The successor stole speechless from the room, while the abbot trundled on home. The abbot had been enjoying Great Beyonds for years, though, of course, the successor had not known this, and had never actually been poisoned by them. So the whole clever plan went quite wrong.